Hey everybody, BK Adams here. Today I want to talk about how you would build a suit of power armor using the Mighty Protectors superhero role-playing game rules. And I'm going to start off with the gear modifier, and I'm going to read what it says. It says, an ability that is defined as gear, a technological device, magic item, etc., is slightly less expensive, -5 cost adjustment, but it can't be pushed, see section 5.5, and it can be damaged in combat. Depending on the concept, it might also be subject to being taken away or disarmed in combat. For example, you might disarm somebody of gear that they can carry, but not gear that's worn. It's going to be a suit of armor like Iron Man's armor, so it's going to get gear, but more specifically than that, there's a subsection of the gear modifier called multifunction gear, and that's what it's going to be. I'll read what it says. This is an option if you install more than one ability in the same piece of gear. Each of the abilities in the gear then receives only a -2.5 cost adjustment, but an attack which breaks the gear will then only disable one of the abilities inside it selected at random. An attacker suffers a further -3 penalty to hit if they wish to target a specific ability within a piece of multifunction gear. Lastly, it says abilities which are gear by default, for example special weapon or life support, get a cost adjustment of +2.5 if made part of a multifunction gear instead of -2.5. So the first modifier that all the power armor slots are going to get is this multifunction gear modifier. The next modifier they're going to get is link. Link says this links a group of 2 or more abilities and or weaknesses together so that they're all available or unavailable at the same time. It takes 1 inch of movement and PR0 to activate and deactivate all of the abilities in the group at once. Any PR or charges on each of the abilities must still be paid individually. The character may refrain from activating a linked ability but not a linked weakness by not paying its activation costs, but they may not activate any one of the abilities or weaknesses on its own. Continual and persistent abilities can't be held back while the group is active. The cost adjustment is -2.5 on each ability in the group and +2.5 on each weakness in the group. Modifiers which affect how easily the character can turn the whole group on or off may be applied to all of the abilities and weaknesses in the group. The third and last modifier that each of my power armor abilities gets is charges, and it says some abilities have charges instead of PR, limiting the number of times they can be used or activated depending on the ability before having to be, quote, recharged, end quote. Each use or activation of the ability uses up 1 charge. An ability may no longer be used when its charges are gone. Charges can either be recovered over a full night of rest or by returning to an applicable power source or ammunition supply, their base or lair, or anywhere else that is available, depending on the ability's rationale. The character and GM should decide what is required to recharge or reload the ability. Now, in particular, for this character, I'm going to use shared charges. It says you may make more than one ability operate off the same set of charges, add up the charges for each ability. All the abilities in the group then draw their charges from this one shared pool. Each ability takes a cost adjustment of +5. And then at the bottom it says multiply the combined charges by 0.7, rounding up for a further -2.5 cost adjustment on each ability, or multiply it by 1.5 rounding down for a further +2.5 cost adjustment. So with all those modifiers in mind, the gear, the link, the shared charges, I've got a character that I've made called Hardpoint. He's a teenager. He's sort of a cross between Peter Parker and Iron Man, and he's built this armor that has 8 different abilities. It has armor, it has communicators, it has flight, it has heightened senses, it has heightened strength, it has life support, it has power blast, and it has heightened expertise. And the first slot, or the first ability, is armor. It's got the link modifier and the multifunction gear modifier. It does not have the shared charges modifier. It's when he's got the armor on, it's just always there. Next up is communicators. It has the shared charges times 0.7 modifier. It has the multifunction gear modifier and has the link modifier. Flight has shared charges, multifunction gear, and linked. Heightened senses also has shared charges, multifunction gear, and linked. Same with heightened strength, same with life support. Now life support's a little different because life support defaults to being gear in the first place. So if we go back to multifunction gear, it specifically says abilities which are gear by default, for example special weapon or life support, get a cost adjustment of +2.5 if made part of multifunction gear instead of -2.5. And if you look here, I've got life support multifunction gear costing plus 2.5. So if you were playing Hardpoint as a player, in order to activate the entire suit of armor, he simply has to spend 1 inch of movement and it totally covers him. Let's say you're playing somebody like Hardpoint and you're in combat and you take a lot of damage. The multifunction gear does say an attack which breaks the gear will then only disable one of the abilities inside it, selected at random. And it also says an attacker suffers a further -3 penalty if they wish to target a specific ability within a piece of multifunction gear. Well, the whole suit is multifunction gear. Let's say Hardpoint or someone like him takes a Power Blast for 22 damage. So we come down, it's energy. He's got 2 armor versus energy. Not that great. So we look at our calculator, we take 22 damage, we subtract 2, we get 20 points of damage. He's got 91 power, so we subtract 9 from the 20 hit points of damage. That leaves 11. And if we look down at the gear break section, it says 11 points of damage will break it. So he just took 11 damage, which by the way is not more than half or over half of his hit points. So half of his hit points are 12, so for 1 hit to knock him out, you'd have to do 13 damage. So the 11 damage he takes doesn't knock him out, but it is going to disable one of these 8 abilities of his armor. So if we go to our D&D roller and we roll a die 8, we get a 3. So if we go back to his sheet, we look at the third one, that's his flight. So his flight just got knocked out. If we go back to the gear modifier, it says repairing broken gear takes an action and a very difficult -6 task check. Broken gear is repaired automatically if the character returns to their home base for at least an hour. So Hardpoint, who's really smart and has the appropriate background knowledges, he could try and repair that, but he would have to make a task check, or he could go back to his base and do it automatically. So that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time.